Hey guys, what's going on? DeltaBot here, and in this video I wanted to go over my impressions of Playdead's new game Inside, as well as discuss what I think is going on with the story. And disclaimer, it's what I think is going on. There's obviously no real hard evidence behind what's happening in the story, and Playdead will probably not deny or confirm any stories people come up with, because they did the same thing in Limbo. So with that out of the way, I just wanted to say this is what I think is going on. And Inside, personally, I'm not a huge fan of puzzle platformers, but I think Playdead did a fantastic job with this game. The visuals are amazing. The gameplay is actually really compelling and really rewarding. So I really enjoyed the game a lot. It was awesome. So to get started, I think establishing, maybe a setting would be helpful. I think this game is actually taking place in the same universe as Limbo did, but before Limbo took place. And there's a couple clues to that. The first thing we come across in the game is these pigs here. And pigs are used for medical testing because they basically catch and transmit the same diseases that humans do. So in this game, it looked like they were using them to test the mind control worms out, which we will see in the next scene. There's one on a pig. And since they're using them in testing still, I think that's one clue to say it's in Limbo's universe, but it's before Limbo, because in Limbo, they were being used, for on humans. So I think they were further developed in Limbo, and I think because of that, that's one clue that we have, that Limbo actually takes place after Inside does. So Inside is sort of a prequel. Another thing that we can see is later on in the game, there's the use of the anti-gravity machine. But in this instance, it's only being used for water instead of all of the things it was used for in Limbo. So it's much more focused and it's much more limited, which makes me think that the technology is not as advanced as it is in Limbo. So that's another clue that this game might take place before Limbo takes place. And you can see that it's only usable on water, because right here, the bodies, when they exit the water, they actually fall back to the ground. So it's not usable on anything other than water in this case. So it's not as well developed, and it's not as advanced as it was in Limbo. And the last piece of evidence I think points to this game taking place before Limbo is in Limbo there isn't really much by way of civilization. It's not quite a wasteland, I don't think, but there isn't really any organizations in that game, where there is in this one. Whatever this nameless organization is that is obviously trying to take over the world, it's there in this game, so it's not as broken down as Limbo is. So I think that it's before Limbo. Now, one thing I think that is really important to discuss is, who is this kid? Who's the guy we play as? For the most part, it seems like he's not the same as all these quote-unquote zombies, the mind-controlled things, but I think that might not be quite true, because all of the zombies you run into throughout the game are mind controlled, and it seems like this kid is, and it seems like you're the one, you're playing vicariously through him. But in the secret ending, which you see here after you collect all the orbs throughout the game, there's a little clue that might not be quite true, because as we go down this hallway, we come to a room where there's one of those mind control helmets connected to the floor. And once we pull the cables out at the far end of the room, the kid drops into the same stance that the zombies fall into when they are not under mind control. So that means that this kid is one of those zombies. But there are obviously very clear differences between him and them. They don't respond to outside stimuli besides the mind control helmet, whereas he does. He obviously shows fear, pain, and he shows emotion. So that means he has to be different from them in some way. Now, that begs the question, though, who is in control of this kid? The easiest answer would be us, the player. But that brings me to the end objective of the game, which is the blob's escape. When the blob escapes the facility, the game's over, which can mean a couple things. Either the blob died or the objective was complete. And if that means the objective was complete, then that must mean that the blob was in control of the boy the whole time. Because if the whole point of the game was for the blob to escape, which I think it was, then that means the blob was controlling not only the boy, but the player throughout the game. Indirectly, though, because we didn't know what we were doing throughout the game. We just had to keep going because, it's a game and we got to go finish the game. So I think indirectly the blob was not only controlling the boy in reference to the game, but it also controlling us. And another piece of evidence that supports that is here, the rebirth scene, where this water thing that was chasing us around finally catches us and puts whatever that thing is on our chest to give us the abilities in order to complete the blob's mission for us, which is freeing it. It gave us the ability to breathe underwater and mind control the other zombies without needing the helmet apparatus. But I think that's also sort of a double-edged sword, because the boy does display a little bit of free will. If the blob was in complete control of the boy and the player, we wouldn't have been trying to get away from this water thing, and the boy wouldn't have been afraid whenever the water thing came around. So I think there is actually some form of conflict going on. And personally, I believe the blob sort of won that conflict, because in this scene here, it does finally get released, regardless of what our intentions were, and it does eventually escape. And at the end of the game, like I said, either the objective is achieved or the blob dies. In either case, we lose control of the blob. And if the blob dies, then it's possible that the boy was actually sort of moving of his own and our own free will. But if the blob is still alive at the end of the game and we are just unable to control the blob, then I think that means that the blob was manipulating events throughout the game in order to free itself. So I think it could go either way. I'm not sure which story I prefer. I think I prefer the one where the boy had some semblance of free will and that we were playing vicariously through him, and then that disconnection of the cable and the secret ending just represented sort of him disconnecting himself from us. But it is also possible that the blob was the one manipulating events throughout the game and we were just playing into its hand. Either way, those are the two stories I was able to I didn't come up with them myself. I sort of pieced some stuff together throughout the game, but it did take some research online, and I actually came across, when I was just about done with my imaginings of the game, I actually came across this really cool article, and I'll put it in the description below, that solidified a lot of what I was thinking. So maybe this is sort of a widespread view of the game. I'm not sure. It's just what I thought. So let me know what you guys think of the game in the comment section below. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure you leave a like or dislike depending on what you thought of the video. If you do leave a dislike, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below letting me know what I can do to improve. Subscribe if you want more, and I will see you all in the next video. Going back through? Oh god, I got dark again.